is approaching. Today is Thursday, September 11th. This is the Golf Committee meeting. I am calling the meeting to order at 1:30. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, but prior to everyone standing, I just want to briefly read a statement. I know everyone's already thought about this, but today is Patriot Day. Everyone seated here today probably can still accurately recall where they were and what they were doing as the day began to unfold with the horrific events that affected the East Coast of the country. We don't need to say much more because we all lived through it, and I'm sure it's in our hearts and in our minds. Also, yesterday we had a senseless assassination of a very popular, well-known, and well-liked political activist, Mr. Charlie Cook. I ask you to keep him, his family, and all our nation in your thoughts and prayers as we continue through this day. And I would now like a moment of silence in those memories, and then I will ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. If everyone could stand, we'll now recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, good afternoon. We have established quorum. We have an 8-member committee. We have 5 members present today. 2 were unable to make it, and we are trying to reach Julie Klieger, who was supposed to be watching. And Julie, if you are watching, we do not have Zoom set up for you, so please type in a comment or two to let us know you're watching, and you will be counted as present for quorum purposes. I will now move on to item 1.04, meeting procedures. The governing board and its committees conduct all their meetings in compliance with the Arizona Planned Community Association open meetings laws per Arizona Revised Statute 33-1804 and in concert with the Rec Center bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert's Rules, will also be followed in all meetings as appropriate, consistent with Bylaw 3.07 and Standing Rules 2 and 3. I have my Robert's Rules with me, and I have the most recent edition of the state statutes. Hopefully, we don't need to use them. Also, this meeting is being live streamed on YouTube and is being recorded. I ask everyone to turn off their cell phones, and at the table here, please remove it from the table so it doesn't interfere with the microphones. Moving on, item 3.01, microphone usage. Everyone that's up here on the committee was here last year, and you should know how to use the microphones. You need to push the little tile, get a green light, you can speak. When you're done speaking, push the tile and the light goes off. Committee introductions. This year we have a 8-member committee, and I will let everyone self-introduce. I'll just say that I'm Rudy Grum. I'm on the board now for the 2nd year. I'm also serving 2nd year as both the vice president and the golf committee chair. And I'm just glad to be here, and I will say I enjoyed last year, and I look forward to what we can accomplish this year. What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't miss that. But, okay, so prior to going to committee introductions, I'll go to minutes approval. We last met on May 8th. The minutes were attached to the agenda, which is now on the hub. I hope everyone got a chance to look at the minutes. Anyone have any comments, changes, additions that need to be made? Seeing none, they will stand as presented. Okay, Ron, would you like to lead off introductions?
My name is Ron Decker. I've been a resident of Sunset West for like 9 years now. Avid golfer for about 64 years.
Hi, I'm David Miller. I've been living in Sun City West since 2017. This is my second year on the committee. Look forward to having a productive year. Thank you.
Yes, my name is John Chatton. I'm on the board of directors. I'm chair of the properties committee, and I felt fortunate to be able to participate on the golf committee this year. I am an avid golfer, and I've been in Sun City West for about 10 years.
Hi, I'm David Eichner. This is my first full year on the committee. I was a partial year previously. I've been a resident of Sun City West for 13 years, avid golfer, retired banker, all kinds of things. And I'm also, for the last 7 years, I've been a certified rules official working with USGA and AGA on various events.
Pat O'Hara, Golf Operations Manager, 37-year member of the PGA, and tomorrow I start my 14th year with the Rec Center. How
Good.
about that?
Good. Todd Patty, Environmental Services Manager. I've been with the rec centers for 33 years. I've been on the golf committee for 32 years.
Okay, thank you to everyone on the committee, and once again, welcome. Moving on to, there's a committee roster handout. This is for all the Sun City West committees. It contains their personal emails and home phone numbers, so please treat it as sensitive information as it's actually covered by privacy laws. The next item will be the new governing board hub. There is a cheat sheet in front of you, and that cheat sheet was also attached to the agenda. Does anyone here feel like they need Karen to go through the quick little show that she has for how to use the new hub, or is everybody comfortable in having used it? Because she's done it about 6 times already, and I've heard it every one of those times. So, okay, seeing that no one really needs it and they understand how to use it, I urge everyone to go to the hub. It's quite useful. The meetings are listed months in advance, and once the agenda on a given date goes active, it then begins to contain things like all the attachments. Okay, committee orientation 3.05. We actually operate under the Arizona Revised Statute 33-1804, which is the open meeting laws for planned community boards and committees. What that basically means to us is we have to conduct this in an open forum, open to our members. So that's pretty straightforward. We have 2 bylaws that our organization of committees and standing committees, those bylaws are on the hub. They basically would state that the board has a requirement to appoint these committees and how these committees will operate. So you can easily look up both of those bylaws and see if there's anything you need to know, but I'll actually cover that a bit more when we talk about our goals and tasks for the upcoming year. Okay, completing that, we will move on to our reports, and first will be Pat O'Hara with the golf operations.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Quick overview of a few slides here. I just wanted to give everybody a background for golf ops, kind of a reminder. Golf operations departments, Todd and I run in different departments, so a lot of times people think that we report to one or another. We don't. We stand on our own, and Todd's been doing a pretty good job of that. So wanted to share this with you. As you can see, in golf ops, we've got 131 employees. 10 of them are full-time. So out of that, we've got a majority of them part-time employees. A lot of them are residents, which is great. Here on the slide, the yellow names, descriptors, are the full-time employees that we have. So we stay busy with staff. Typically, we have a manager that oversees either 2 or 3 golf courses, and currently we have assistants. We're missing one right now. So we have basically 1 full-time employee per location. Wanted to give you an update on key changes during the summer. Paul Gruza, that you may know, is now left his golf ops coordinator position, is now overseeing Pebblebrook and Stardust. Brian, who was in the events assistant position, is now in the golf ops position. So we're looking for a couple key roles this summer, still interviewing for those. One other one I'll mention is John Smith, who was our merchandiser buyer, is now going to take over the pro ship, it looks like, supervisor up there. It's a typo, at Grandview and Trail Ridge. So a couple key positions still in flux. We do have all our call center and players assistants hired for the season. Just wanted to give you a quick overview of how this all works. Our starters, they're paid $1 more than minimum wage. Ball pickers, minimum wage. Janitors are at $15 an hour. You can see the number of hours they work throughout the day and throughout the week. And as you can see, it adds up pretty quick. So weekly payroll is in excess of $22,000 for opening up the pro shops. This time of year, I have 2 courses closed, so it's not quite that much. Wanted to let you know that we do minimize the number of courses open during the holidays. This year, we've got the rotation of Grandview, Trail Ridge, Echo Mesa, and Desert Trails open on Thanksgiving. Those are normal hours for those holidays. And then on Christmas, we reduce it down to 3 courses, and we have Deer Valley, Pebblebrook, and Stardust open. For those of you that like to play in some competitive events, this is our schedule for 25-26. We had a 20% increase in participation over last year, which was good. A couple changes to our lineup, but this week we start with our Fall Classic. It starts Saturday. We were able to reach the 100-player limit, which was great. 7 o'clock shotgun, and we've got 3 men's flights and I believe 1 ladies flight playing. So that should be a good competitive event. Wanted to give you an update on our green team. One of the changes we made this year is the numbers started to shrink last year, and we decided to have a green team during the summer months convene every other week, every other Saturday. Regardless, we were able to increase our numbers by 14%, and on the rosters as members is 267 people. 35 graduates for this year as well. Wanted to give you an update as far as men's and ladies leagues and their numbers. I've got to admit that the executives aren't 100% accurate. I don't have access to those numbers, but these numbers came from the USGA, the GIN system, and you can see the ladies and men's club breakout. These are dues-paying members at each of the clubs. And the Kachina, for those that aren't familiar with that, Kachina Club is a non-green grass club where people that might want a USGA handicap but not join a club, a men's or ladies club, they can still get a handicap and be a member of the Arizona Golf Association. So when it's all said and done, we've got a little over 2,300 very, very active golf members in this community. Wanted to kind of put a plug in for our pace of play. Last year we talked about our Best Tees initiative. This is kind of an overview of what our players' assistants review and use and our staff uses in monitoring play during busy season. We had the Arizona Golf Association come out a few years ago and do an overview of our pace of play. You can see this is Deer Valley and Trail Ridge. I've got the other ones up here as well. Typically, it's going to be around 4 hours for a regulation course, 3 hours for an executive. So you add 5 minutes and for the restroom break and buying a hot dog and a Coke and go onto the back tee. But you can see that they've got it pretty well mapped out. One thing I'll bring to everybody's attention, for those of you that play executive golf courses, and let's look at Echo Mesa for just an example. Our tee times are 7 and 8 minute intervals. So with 7 and 8 minute, it's a pretty aggressive tee time spacing. Anytime you see a par 3 that is longer than 7 or 8 minutes, in this case, Echo Mesa number 4, it's 9 minutes, and we've all played Echo Mesa. It's a pretty good little hole. If it's longer than 7 and 8, there's an opportunity for a backup. So if you think in your back of the mind where you've seen backups on executives, 4 comes to mind, 17 comes to mind. Any of those places that are tees that are taking more than 7 and 8 minutes, there's an opportunity. So that's where the bottlenecks are on the executives. So one of these days we'll talk about maybe adjusting the tee time separation. Also wanted to mention this. This comes up maybe 10 or 15 times a year. In fact, one of the first weeks when I got here, this was one of the first questions I received in golf ops. A gentleman came in to my office and said, hey, your tees aren't set up correctly today. And I was thinking maybe they weren't in the right color combination. Maybe the red were behind the gold or something of that nature. And he said, no, they're the wrong distance. And I said, well, what do you mean? He says, well, according to your scorecard, the blue tees should be 318 yards on number 1. It's only 312. And I said, well, we've got a variance here. And this, I reached out to the AGA to have them kind of define it by saying, as long as you're within 100 yards for 18 holes, the course or slope rating is not affected. So those are the parameters. A hole might play longer or shorter than what's on the scorecard, but that's okay. It's the 100-yard accumulative number that we're after. Just a reminder here, we've got a text message Todd controls and does a great job managing. If you got a cell phone, text SCW Golf to that 844 number. You'll be put into the queue where if we have a rain out, frost, anything with golf course conditions, first thing in the morning, you'll get alerted, and then we try to keep up with it during the course of the day. Also a reminder, we do control and operate a database out of Golf Ops. This is something that we send out for tournaments, specials in the pro shops, lessons, other events that you might be interested in. And if you have any interest in signing up for that, please reach out to Brian or myself, and we'll put you on that. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you, Pat. Anyone on the committee have questions for Pat or comments on anything? David?
Hey, Pat, I have some vague recollection that last year there was a change between the club's organization, I don't remember the name of the lady that runs that, and Golf Ops, where are they filing those forms to you every year now that they have to file?
So right now they're in the process of making that transition.
Okay.
I would expect that would come, it would be something closer to the first of the year, maybe December, that we'll have a transition, but right now.
Okay, well, I was just thinking that's where you could get the membership numbers.
There you go.
In terms of that, so. And then the other thing in terms of the things like the Kachina Club, I mean, I carry a USGA handicap that comes straight from USGA. Okay, that's not part of the Kachina Club or any of that other stuff. So I don't know how you get that data. I'll talk to you about it afterwards, but
okay.
There's multiple online things there where people can get USGA handicaps that obviously
Correct.
You're not counting, so.
Correct. This is one that's located or tied in with us at Sun City West.
Okay, thank you, David. Anyone else? Any comments online? Okay. Anyone in the audience? Yes, sir. Please come to the microphone, name, rec card number, write it down, and tell us who you are. Thank you.
Tom Wolgemuth. Pat, on your key changes sheet, I know it's not a change, but I'm assuming that Nibby has got Deer Valley, Echo Mesa, and Desert Trails.
Nibby has Desert Trails, Deer Valley, and Echo Mesa. That is correct.
Right, because you don't have him listed on here at all in that, but
no.
I know he's not a change, so.
Right.
Of these, the new people and things like that, how many are PGA professionals?
How many are PGA pros? So Steve Williams, Mike Williams, excuse me. PGA Pro is retiring. Mark Adcock, PGA Pro, retired this year, so I lost 2. So the remaining are Nibby, myself, and Paul Gruza, and Brian Turgeon is an apprentice. He's trying to go through the program and get his membership within the next year.
Okay, I've noticed on the, go online to book a lesson, there's only 2 instructors now, Dave Arnett and Nibby.
So on U-Schedule, that is controlled by the Golf Pro. So if they're not listed there, they've taken their times off of U-Schedule, such as myself. I haven't put myself back in there due to my schedule, but there's 3 of us that teach. 4
Okay.
with David. So Paul, myself, Nibby, and Dave all teach.
Okay, but currently you could only book with 2 people.
On U-Schedule, or you
On
can call
theirs
us
right now.
directly, yes.
Yeah. On your golf operations department on Green Team, if I remember right, we now have an employee,
We do. We have a part-time employee. Yes.
okay? And that's not listed on your spreadsheet here.
On the number,
Yeah.
on the employees,
Yeah. At least I couldn't find anything that said Green
Okay.
Team. Who is that person?
Lynn Watt,
Lynn?
yeah. The prior one that was part-time was Kathy Stevens.
Right. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thank you very much. No one else? We'll move to the next item with Mr. Todd Patty, Environmental Services.
All right, good afternoon. Just got an update today. I have a report and also a reminder about our overseeding dates coming up. So we'll start with the Echo Mesa project. The irrigation portion of that, we finished that on 4/25, a little bit ahead of schedule. Our target completion date was set for August 29th. And then on the desert landscape portion of the project, we've completed that. That was done on the 22nd of August, and we had a completion date of the 15th of September, so well ahead of schedule on that. On 8/11, the entire golf course was watering with the new irrigation system, and then we hooked up the weather station also was connected to that. Before we were just it's kind of guesswork. We didn't have a weather station to rely on, so it was kind of guesswork of how many minutes we put out each night. Now we're watering the golf course through ET management, the evapotranspiration rate. And so we're getting a much better watering out there. They're working on sod work on mainline scars and transition areas. They're just about ready to finish that up. And then we've removed 18 acres of turf with this project. And I estimated an annual water savings of about 50 to 55 acre feet. And I arrived at that number using a 3.1 acre feet per acre rate. We planted over 150 trees with this project and 2,000 plants. So it's quite a few less than what we did over at Grandview on both trees and plants. And then some of the other projects that were completed, grass bunkers on number 13. All the material that we generated from this project ended up going into the grass bunkers. We didn't haul anything off site. Number 9 green complex, we used that TIF Tough sod, and I'll get to that in just a minute. 12,000 square feet around the green bank over there on 9, which is going to tie into the fairway with the new stolons. Tee leveling, resurfacing with Tahoma 31, which is another new variety of Bermuda grass. We did 9 tees using 30,000 square feet, and then we leveled the driving range tee over at Echo Mesa. We also did the one over at Trail Ridge since we're closed over there. And then one of our big improvements was number 3 tee white. You can see the picture on the left. You can see that was a very steep slope that was going up to the tee box on the white tee. We removed over 175 tons of material. And again, all that went into the grass bunker on number 9. And I think when we open up and you play over there, you'll see a big difference there on the right-hand side on that grass bunker. And then we installed 7,000 square feet of the Tahoma 31 sod, not only on the tee, but the entire complex. But if you see the picture on the right, you can see that's a much gentler, it's a gentle slope walking up to there. So I think that's going to be a big improvement. We did remove a tree that was on the back there, one of the pine trees. So it's not going to be wet and shaded like it was all winter. So that's going to help for the safety of that, getting up to that tee box. And then I mentioned the stolons on 7/9. That was our stolen day where we shot the stolons out on the fairway on number 9. You can see on 7/28, that's our grow-in period. And then 8/18, It's fully filled in completely. Now, what you don't see in this picture is we did have some weeds that came up, goosegrass, and so there was quite a bit of that. We've sprayed that 3 times already, and I was out there this afternoon before I came over to the meeting, and it's starting to check out. So I think I think 3 apps is going to do the job, and it really looks good. It's really solid out there. We've fertilized it probably 6 times. We've verticut it once, and then we're mowing it every other day right now. It really looks good. So the advantages of that TIF-top Bermuda grass requires less water. In fact, they say up to 38% less water. So I think time will tell if we can get to that number. Early grain up in the spring, and it also goes dormant later in the fall. High traffic tolerance, that's what we're going to test this year. We're not going to overseed that fairway, and we will allow carts to go out on the fairway. So that's going to be our test to see how it holds up to traffic. And then reduce nitrogen inputs, which is going to be a savings in our operating expense under fertilizer and chemicals. And then year-to-date water usage, you can see we're actually doing pretty good. We've used 167 acre-feet less than we did last year, or that breaks out to be about 23.85 acre-feet per golf course, which is really good because we've had another dry monsoon season. I know the monsoon season's not over with. We've got a few more weeks, but I don't see anything coming down the road. So I think we can pretty much pull the plug on this year's monsoon. So another disappointing season. That's 3 years in a row. The only good thing is that it was a little bit cooler this summer than we've had in the last 2 summers, so that helped a little bit. And then just a reminder about overseeding coming up. That's going to be in 14 days. That's at Stardust, Echo Mesa, Trowbridge, and Grandview. And you know that Echo Mesa and Trowbridge are closed right now. We'll get a jump start on those courses as far as prep work. Now, if it's too hot, we're going to kind of hold back a little bit on putting the seed down. And the Stardust and Grandview, they'll close on September 25th. All 4 courses will reopen on Tuesday, October 21st. We're not looking at any cart path restrictions at this time, weather permitting. If we have some weather event that rolls in, a lot of rainfall or something, it would just be the usual cart path restriction, but I don't think that's going to happen. And then Grandview, we're going to end the free drop out of the desert areas over there, but we're still asking to please keep your golf carts out of the desert areas. And then Echo Mesa will have that free drop out of the desert for at least a year, and again, keeping the carts out of the desert area. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Todd.
Welcome.
Okay, Mr. Dicker.
About the cart staying out of the desert. It's the guys that I play with are having a hard time doing that because they see crew in their carts going out in the desert. Is that something we need to address with the crew?
Yes, it is. And we did talk to them over at Grandview about that when we open up, that we're asking the members to stay out, so there's no reason for them, unless they're doing some maintenance, but they really shouldn't be in the desert. But I will remind them again of that. And also at Echo Mesa, I will remind them that they need to keep out of the desert areas.
Anyone else? Comments, questions? Anything online? Anyone in the audience? Yes, sir.
12417. Todd, I'm trying to recall, we put a lot of new trees in at Grandview, and you were talking about staking them and making mandatory relief from those trees. And I think I advised at that time that you needed to identify each tree. So I suggested that you tie a red ribbon on all the trees. And then I think, David, since you're on the board and I'm not now, you need to write the local rule. I think it's E10, that it makes them a no-play zone.
Okay.
With free relief from them,
Sure.
like that. But they have to be identified.
Yeah, and we'll do that over at Echo Mesa, even though a lot of those trees are what I consider out of play, road crossing, street fronts, but
Yeah.
I think there may be some that could
Right.
actually come into play.
Okay, and the only other comment I have is, this morning I went over to Grandview to hit some balls, and I went up 9. And I want to tell you, if anybody wants to question an irrigation system, go look at that. There is not a brown spot on any of these mounds in hills. And it's horrible to try to get the water on those hills right. And it's working very well.
It is, yeah. And I've noticed the same thing over at Echo Mesa right away. We did the driving range floor first and up there around the pro shop. And again, I stand out on the range tee and you look across there, we have grass on mounds and slopes that we've never had before. And the whole golf course is like that too. Echo Mesa's got a lot of slopes, a lot of mounds throughout the entire golf course. And now we have grass on those. And you're right, that's right there's the value of a new irrigation system. I can't wait to get over to Stardust and then Pebblebrook and the other golf courses after seeing this. When we started this project, I wasn't dreading doing the project, but I knew it was going to be a lot of work. But now you see the return on investment. Putting a new irrigation system in, you're getting that good coverage. The distribution uniformity rates are so much better. And I always thought our irrigation systems were pretty good. Now I look at them and they're not. The old ones aren't that good anymore.
Let's hope the new turf ones as well.
I think it will. So, all right, thank you.
So the no play zone at Grandview, that's going to end when Grandview reopens from overseed?
Yes, we
Okay.
opens on I think it's the 21st.
21st of
Yeah.
November, something like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
And then it'll come to an end. So,
Oh, we have it re-rated? Okay. We do? Okay. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, and we will take care of getting that rule change made, right, Pat? Okay. Next up, the golf financial review through the end of June by our CFO, Mr. Cliff Swan.
Thank you, Director Grom. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here to present the financial results for last fiscal year. Just to remind everyone, we are July 1 through June 30. So today we'll be discussing the fiscal year 24-25 financial results for the golf division. Let's get started. So looking at the revenue, we came in unfavorable to budget by about $500,000. We'll talk about why as we roll through this presentation, but essentially tied to golf rounds. We had some weather events. We also had the early closure of Echo Mesa, and we just weren't able to catch up at the end of the year. Typically, we rally if we're a little behind in the spring at the end of the year. We just didn't hit the number in terms of rounds, but still $500,000 on 12.5 million budgeted. Not too bad of a miss. The golf rounds, we finished 5,794 rounds behind budget. The first time we didn't hit at least 323,000 rounds in 5 years. So definitely, we'll look at that as an anomaly. We budgeted 320 for this year, and we'll just, of course, see how it goes. But that's how we finished the year in terms of golf rounds. So if we compare that to prior year, the revenue, we finished 263,000 favorable to budget. Of course, we had those, even though we finished less than prior year in rounds, we did implement some increases in our fees that carried the day on the revenue side. But almost 13,400 rounds behind last year. In fiscal year 23-24, we had almost 328,000 rounds. So if we look at the golf cart revenue, we like to present this just to show, because our members, a lot of our members at GolfR carry our discount cards. So if we look at the revenue tied to those discount cards, we finished overall 74,000 favorable to prior year, at about a 5% increase overall on our golf cards. And if we look at the greens fee tied to the different golfer types, those cards that we collect a greens fee on, and as well as our non-member golf and our just resident non-card holding golfers, we finished, like I said, 230,000 ahead of a prior year, about 3%. Keep in mind that our golf rounds are seasonal, so we have more rounds in the November through May time period than we do the June through October time period, and that's reflected here in this chart. But this is the monthly revenue that we had in the golf division last year, and then the rounds themselves, of course, follow the same trend. Looking at our expense structure compared to budget, we did finish $500,000 behind budget on the revenue side. Fortunately, we finished $600,000 $639,000 favorable on the expense side. So we covered in the budget, we covered the loss in revenue with savings and expense. Largest component of that is $471,000 in wages, taxes, and benefits. That's mainly due to open seats. And I would say most of that, 90% of that, 95% of that was on the golf maintenance side. And of that $471,000, we were over budget by $220,000 in our contracted services to do the tasks that we weren't able to do in-house. So we offset that that labor savings with an increase in our wages and benefits. Was able to offset that increase in expense. So looking at our wages and benefits and how they trend, how our expense structure trends, you can see that our largest expense for golf is in the September through December time period. And that's when we're overseeding, we're spending a lot of money on chemicals and things like that. So that's, well, not wages and benefits, but as far as our labor goes, that's when the bulk of our expense comes in terms of labor and wages and benefits. And then you could see August through November is pretty much a spike in our other expense structure. That's where the seed and the chemicals and all that come in. But looking at the overall picture, we finished $127,000 above budget. In golf, we subsidized a little over $1 million to the association in golf last year. Comparing that to prior year, we were $126,000 unfavorable in the overall cash outflow for golf compared to prior year. And just a quick reminder too here, this won't be presented every month because it really isn't impactful to present just a couple of months, but the red color block is the expenses and when they hit and the total expenses for those months. The green color block is the revenue in those months. So anywhere where the green outpaces the red is obviously when we're operating at a cash inflow. Anywhere where the red overtakes the green, we're operating at a cash deficit in those months. So this is our normal. This is a normal trend for us. It happens every year. It's the life cycle of our year for golf because of all the investments that are made, like I said, early on, and then all the golf rounds that happen after that. So just wanted to put this slide in here to show this to everybody, to remind them and the community that don't be alarmed if you see that through the first 4 months, we're at a big deficit because that's normal for us. And that concludes my financial presentation.
Okay, thank you, Cliff. David?
Hi, Dave.
Hey, could you go back to slide 13, please?
Sure.
Yeah, I thought, try 12.
Okay.
So I'm looking at your 25 budget versus actual,
Mm-hmm.
and the actual for wages and benefits, big change in the October through January, which I would have thought would have been when we were trying to have our peak staffing to deal with all the extra people.
Yeah, so
And so what happened? I mean, it looks like
Okay.
we lost people and didn't recover them.
yeah, so when we put the budget together, it's our largest. There's tons of overtime. The irrigation specialists. I mean, you got people that sit in trucks and wait for things to break down in case they do because we don't want to lose the seed on a course. If that happens, it's a lot more expensive to have to go buy more seed and put it back down and rewater it and do all that than it is to pay someone to be on Johnny on the spot if that happens. So, but that's our largest period of labor, that time period when we're overseeding. So, but if you follow it throughout the year, we're consistently below budget on wages and benefits, mostly tied to, wages and benefits, but because of that labor shortage, we're running behind essentially the whole year.
Okay, I guess part of what I wanted to get to was, Todd, you didn't experience something drastically unusual in that time frame?
No.
Okay. That's just a very stark difference
Between the
between the
budget-
red line and the green light over the 4 months that I would have thought would have been amongst our busiest. I mean,
Yeah.
you're $100,000 difference almost,
Yeah.
or more, so. Anyway, okay, I was looking at it from the point of view of, did we have a significant staffing issue during that period of time?
Yes.
Yeah, so, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Anyone else on the committee? We have no comments or questions online. Anyone in the audience? Okay, thank you, Cliff. Okay, moving on to new business. 501, committee goals, tasks, timelines. If you could pull up the, yes, thank you. What I basically did was I just kind of took directly from our policy as to why this committee even exists. And one of the primary reasons is the committee is here to be a liaison between the members and the board of directors. We act in an advisory role, so that the best way for us to get our job done is to listen to what our members have to say. One of the key things that we will do, and we will accomplish it by the 1st of December, is we will review all the current golf policies. That'll be covered in my next slide. But along those lines, we also review and make recommendations to the governing board and general manager on any of the aspects of running our golf courses. And here in the next couple of months, as next year's budgets get put together, we will review and look at both the operating expenses, potential revenues for both the operating budget and our capital budget, and we'll review that and make our recommendations to the governing board at the appropriate time. So we have a direct input into what our golf fees may be next year. So with that, as the year goes on and any other additional projects come up, we will certainly attack them and work them as needed. Moving on to the next item, 5.02. This is the listing of our current 9 golf policies. Last year, we didn't assign the committee members to individual policies, and I think that worked out pretty well. Our golf policies are all relatively short, so if all the committee members could take a look at all 9 golf policies, send me any inputs you have now that they're so readily available on the hub. Send me any inputs as to if we need to make changes, deletions, or if we even need to create new policies. These policies then are, once we make the recommendation to the board and the board approves them, that is then how golf operations operates. So if that's okay with everyone, please take a look at all 9, directly send me your inputs, and we'll take it for discussion at next month's meeting. And if need be, then we'll establish working groups if policies need to be changed or if new policies need to be made. Now the item of real fun, 5.03, the golf course tours. We successfully toured all our courses last year. I already have a recommendation from Todd. If the members of the committee are agreeable, Todd has a couple of golf courses that he definitely would like us to take a look at, but the other courses really haven't changed much, and you guys all play them, so there's really not much to see on some of them other than looking at green grass. But Todd, I'd kind of let you address here what courses you feel we need to look at, especially the new irrigation system, and then kind of we'll look at what is the best time of day for everyone that's concerned to go on a tour. I know Tuesdays and Wednesdays are golf leagues, so those days are probably out. and it's probably best to do it, sometime right after, early afternoon, although the days are getting shorter, as the best time to do this is during overseeding when the courses are closed. So Todd?
Actually, I was thinking of 3 golf courses, Grandview, where we go over there and look at the mature plants now and see how that's really come along over there. Definitely Echo Mesa. We can see the new desert landscape, new irrigation system. We could also look at number 9 fairway. I really want to get you guys out on that and look at that new turf over there. And then also at Stardust, there's several things that we would like to do over there when we're closed in 2027 with the new irrigation system, the practice area, the putting green, and there's a few other things that we'd like to add to that project. So I'd like to definitely walk you through that as well.
Okay, with that in mind, we could limit this to just the 3 courses. Anybody have any inputs as to preferred days of the week or times of the day?
No, I think we could squeeze all 3 in, I really do. We don't have to go through the entire golf course like at Grandview, and I think most of the changes that we're gonna do over at Stardust would be right up in the pro shop area out front there. And then Echo Mesa, we could go over and look at number 3T. We could go out and look at the fairway on number 9 and a couple other areas that I'd like to show you. So I think we could do 3 courses in one day. That wouldn't be a problem.
So maybe look at about a 2-hour time block, beginning maybe noon or 1 o'clock? People good with that? So, okay, Todd, let's take, how do you want to do this? Just discuss between you and I perhaps what would be the best day for this, say, 2-hour window, or come up with a couple dates. And since we don't have to make the decision until next month, we're not going to be really going on these courses until closer to, middle of October.
I would like to do it kind of at the tail end of overseeding. All 3 golf courses are going to overseed at the same time, so I think it would be good to do it towards the tail end when we're mowing and everything, and really not watering the golf course during the grow-in period.
That means if we come up with a date and a time somewhere towards the end of October, we can settle this up at our next meeting.
Okay.
And does anybody have a real interest in touring the golf lab? I know all of you have probably been there many times, used it, and so unless someone really has a desire, anyone can always go over on their own time and talk to Dave and get their own tour. So, okay, Todd and I then will work out a primary and a backup date from, say, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where we can tour all 3 courses, and we'll bring that forward to next month's meeting.
Director Grum?
Yes.
Can we piggyback where we tour the facilities, the pro shops and the patios and the restrooms on this too? Because we're seeing, I'll take Pebblebrook for example, we're seeing wear and tear on the restrooms at Pebblebrook, and I'd like to get everybody's thoughts on what they'd like to see. Patios, we recently did the resurfacing at Desert Trails and it turned out great. Deer Valley looks pretty good, but there are some of the Stardusts, Pebblebrook, Echo Mesa. If I could get some input from everyone here on those, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, so with a 2-hour window and you join us on these tours, would that be acceptable to everybody? Okay, Todd, we'll take that for action and come back with a couple of tentative dates for our meeting next month that we can agree to. Pat will accompany us, and we'll take a look at the furnitures and the pro shops while we're there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was almost pretty easy. Okay, item 5.04. Next year's golf operations and golf maintenance capital budget updates. Pat, I guess you're going first.
It's this year.
25, 26.
So while we're getting this up, we just had 3 basically 3 projects. Ours this year dealt with some chairs and tables over at Grandview that we completed, and then carts for our fleet, as well as some utility vehicles. Glad to say I got an update on the fleet, which is 30 carts coming in. They're going to be delivered the last week of this month. We're looking the week of September 29th, along with 8 utility vehicles, which would be custodial carts as well as players' assistance cart, and then the tables and chairs at Grandview. We received 80 chairs and 6 tables, and it looks really nice. I hope some of you have had a chance to see it, but they turned out very nice.
We lost internet connection, so she's having trouble pulling up the presentation on the screen. So
The internet is down.
we just have to verbally talk.
Does that mean we've lost?
We lost the screen, but half is still kind of overview. We have nothing to see on the screen.
Okay.
So all 3 projects are almost complete. Okay.
Just
Oh,
in
there you go.
time. How about that?
So, yeah, Todd, whatever you have to add or,
Overview, apparently people have, they just come up.
Very good. All right, just a status report on our projects. The irrigation and turf reduction project, phase 1 at Stardust, is in progress. We're about 20% into that, and that's the mapping and the field staking with planned budget of $536,221. Shoreline repair, hardscape at Deer Valley 18, Desert Trails 14 and 18. Planned budget of $285 for Deer Valley, $295 for Desert Trails. Start date is set for 6/8 of next year. And then Cart Pass Slurry Seal at Echo Mesa, we had a budget of $75,000. Start date is the 15th, so that's coming up. That did go through the bidding process, came in at $74,231. So we have a savings of $769. And then our capital equipment replacement, and this is both golf and landscape. Planned budget, just over $1 million. Total replacement cost this year, again, just over $1 million. We had a savings this year of $82,507, and we did put that out to bid. Simpson Norton, which is Toro, Bigham Equipment is Jacobson, and John Deere. So we're replacing 23 units, mowers, greens rollers, top dressers, blowers, all that other equipment that's used to maintain the golf course on a daily basis. And then replaced 9 utility vehicles this year. And then we did defer 5 units off of the reserve study and eliminated 3 off of the reserve study this year. So that is my update.
all right, thank you. Any questions, comments from the committee? Yes.
Just a quick question, are there any plans to replace the ice machine at Deer Valley?
The ice machine.
I've had several complaints about that with the continuing maintenance and repairs, and I haven't researched how much we spent on maintenance and repairs, but I know they'd like to see a different ice machine.
Yeah, let me get with Russ. That's the first I've heard about it. Deer
Okay.
Valley,
Deer Valley, new ice machine.
the
All
new
right.
ice machine.
Okay, any additional comments from anyone as to everything you just heard? Anyone in the audience? We have nothing online? Okay. As I said earlier, this meeting was recorded, so any residents can view it at a later time. And they can find all that information right on the new hub. Our next golf meeting will be on Thursday, October 9th, 1:30 in the lecture hall. We've got a few action items that we will be addressing then. And so at 2:24, I'll call this meeting adjourned.